told, every champion has felt it. Every president has felt it. Every king has felt it. Every lion has felt it. Every winner has felt it. Every soldier has felt it. Every victorious person has felt it. The urge to quit.
Crossroads, life's tolls, life goes. I gotta win. W my lockdown. You can't rewind.
Hey, how are you guys doing today? This is your host, Sonya, with the Remember Who You Are 222 podcast. I have my guest, Michele, here with us today. She is actually a psychic medium, an author, and a metaphysical educator. She also has a few oracle decks out there as well. And how are you doing today, Michele?
Awesome. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you and hear your story. I know that it'll affect many people out there. So, but why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about your story and how you came into doing what you do now? If you had like an awakening of some sort or anything like that.
Sure. Actually, yeah, I guess I did have an awakening. The one thing that I tell my students all the time is that we all are born with the same gifts. We just, whether I kind of compare it to the gym, ironically, because because I always say, like I want to be in good shape, so I bought my gym membership and then I drove by and I waved. So my one arm was in really good shape from waving, but I never went into the gym. So I didn't get in shape. So anytime you're dealing with your psychic abilities, stuff like that, it's something that you need to work on every day. You need to work out every day on it. But this first happened to me, the first time I heard a voice or I heard something happening was right after the crossing of my father. And sometimes that happens with people after a traumatic experience, lost one. And since my father was my primary caretaker at the time at 6 years old, the loss was pretty catastrophic. And that's when I started hearing voices. I just didn't know what they were. And people thought I was nuts and that I had, invisible friends.
Mm-hmm.
But this went on like most of my, my teenage years. I was probably about 11 or so the first time I saw my first 3D ghost where it actually looked like a person, but I could tell that they weren't a person. I didn't realize it until I was an adult. Like I said, I was about 11 or 12. I didn't realize it until I was an adult because I thought the person, it was a very big woman and she had a giant sword. And I thought she was there to hurt me. I was in bed and she just disappeared after I covered my head up with my blanket. And I realized as an adult, I was living in a very bad house at the time and that my life was about to become upside down. And she was literally telling me she was there to protect me and watch over me. And she carried the sword for me. That went on during my, teenage years and stuff. And I couldn't figure out what I was. So I hit the library because, I'm old and there wasn't social media and, Google and computers or cell phones back then. And I went to the library and everything was about witches. And that was not my jam. I wasn't into like the dark side. I just did more light work and I was seeing more of the light. And then I found stuff on angels and then I just engulfed myself in everything I could read about angels and understanding my connection with my spirit guides and my angels. Um, a lot of that kind of silenced during after about the age of 12 because became part of the court system. Ended up in the group homes, the foster homes, the juvie. I spent 3 years in lockup between all of these places. And it wasn't until I was about 16 that I had my next, between 15 and 16, the next time I had another awakening because I didn't believe that there was anything out there because there's no way I could have gone through hell at this point. I was raped, I was stabbed, I was impregnated, I was forced by the court system to abort. My mother suffered from mental issues from her upbringing, and she brought it into my life. The short period of time that I lived with her, she was very abusive, physically and mentally. So the trauma just kind of kept rolling. And I was actually at DuPage County Youth Home, and I'd been in there for a year. I was about to go back to court. And I remember talking to this entity, this energy, this God, whatever it was, because even though I was born an Irish Catholic, I didn't believe there could be anything out there because my life couldn't be hell if there was somebody out there. And I I talked to him all night long, or her, whoever was going to listen. And I said, if I go to court tomorrow and I get stuck in here any longer, I will find a way to take my own life. I'm not going another day in lockup. I can't do it. And it was the craziest thing because I was 15. At 15 years old, I walked into court. My mother didn't want me. My guardian, my state ward person, said we got to keep her in lockup. She's a minor. The judge literally said, I don't know why I'm saying this because it goes against all odds. He goes, but I'm letting you walk out the door today free. He goes, you'll be dead or in prison by the time you're 18, but I'm letting you walk out the door. I literally knew at that moment that the divine was making sure that I understood I was not alone, and that I was out on my own at 15 years old. That's
Oh
kind of,
wow.
yeah.
That's a crazy. I mean, I don't want to say it's an amazing story in that way, but like it. What did you do after that? Like did
A lot of drugs.
oh
Didn't have any parents, so
yeah. So yeah.
yeah. I started. I moved in with who would be my first husband by 16. Um, Became addicted to a lot of drugs. And I know I mean, I didn't know back then why. I was just trying to kill pain. Anyway, I did not want to be in a normal frame of mind. So I used as much as I could. I ended up, by the time I was 18, I was already married, had my first child. Um, by the time I was 19, I was divorced. 21, went to Vegas, got married again,
Mhm.
had another child. Uh, 2 years later, I had another child. I figured back then, because of the fact that I became part of the court system, in my mind, I thought if I could create children, I could create a family.
Mm.
So I needed to make something that would love me because your children have to love you, I guess, is what I thought.
Yeah.
And they do. They gotta have good kids. But so I kept having kids, and I had two divorces, married my third time. Um I was using up until probably my 30s, like I think I'm 30. But in
Mhm.
between there, about 19 years old, I started my own business at my dining room. I was
Mhm.
doing readings on the side. Had to keep it hidden because I buried myself in the church trying to get rid of the voices in my head and trying to save myself.
Mm.
Um, so I was I was a recluse. I did everything I possibly could to try to, I don't know, push the envelope, like, let me cross. I don't care. I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah, I completely understand that. Like basically putting yourself in situations and things that could kill you, but
Yeah.
might not.
Yeah.
Because
It was
I was,
actually very frustrating because I got to a point where I was like, okay, my mother didn't want me and God don't want me. So who wants me? Like nobody, I mean, I tried taking my own life several times and I couldn't even do that well. And I was stuck here. I'm like, damn, nobody wants me.
I'm stuck here. Yeah, no, I completely like all this stuff. Like, I truly believe that I don't see any of the things that like society or religion says is bad, like doing drugs. And there was a long period where I drank a lot of alcohol to numb the pain. And
Mhm.
so I feel like those were things that actually like saved us at
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
we needed it to, help us
Mhm.
through.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
it got us to where we are today.
100%.
So, when do you feel like you had that big shift to really like, I guess, like heal and get into what
Which
you
time? No,
your
no, no.
oh
No, I say which time because like
probably
every time I thought I took a few steps forward, I would slide back. And then I think there was nothing out there. And then I would have something major happen. And I would say probably the last major moment in my time in my life was I was 30 years old and I was listening to Marianne Williamson on a cassette while I was walking 3 miles a day. And she had said, and I'll never forget this line. She said, people will shit on you and they will walk away. You choose to put it in a suitcase and keep carrying it. How heavy are you going to let that suitcase get? Put it down. And it made me
Mm,
stop and think about all the people in my life that had affected me and hurt me. And I was like, they went on with their life. They didn't think twice about
mm,
it. Chose to carry those wounds. That was my personal choice
mhm,
to give away my power. And that was like that was probably my big aha moment. Like, okay, I'm taking back my power.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't easy. I mean, the struggles were hard, but
Mm-hmm.
I became stronger in my readings and in my the voices I could hear, and I was
Mm-hmm.
learning to trust what I was hearing. Um, and the hardest part about it was that, during this transition of lifetime, they had sent me to, like, the social workers at school after the crossing of my father. And then, I ended up with my pedophile stepfather. And of course, and back then nobody cared. You push it on the rug and you hit it. Um, and they sent me to the shrinks and to the priest and sent me to everybody. And everybody gave me the same answer. So they were like,
Mm-hmm.
time will heal everything. You're going to be, and I was like, time wasn't doing nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, no, it was just a big ball of crap inside of me that was dark. And I couldn't figure out how to get past that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how Michelle Breaking the Chain came about, because I had to find ways to heal myself because nobody could tell me. And I literally would say to them, tell me, give me the recipe. I'll take the recipe. How do I fix this? But nobody could. And I figured out that the recipe isn't always the same for everybody, but there were
Mm-hmm.
some basic concepts that started downloading into my brain. And I
Mm-hmm.
started following them, and I started saving myself.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it? It's crazy when we start asking ourselves the right questions, like how our body just finds the answers.
100%. Yeah. And they were probably talking to us before, but we weren't listening.
Yeah,
I
but
wasn't
we
ready
were
to hear you.
in.
Yeah, I wasn't ready to hear you. Don't talk to me yet.
Yeah, yeah, that's it too. Not ready to hear it.
Yeah.
I do believe that everything happens when it's meant to, and even now, it's like I look at things completely differently. When I look back at all the things I've been through, I'm just like, wow. Now I really see it from like a higher perspective, where, um, like I see the divine orchestration in it, but I didn't see it at the time because I was so focused on the pain.
Yeah.
Um,
I remember once I read this, and I think it's so true. I think pain is an addiction just like anything else. And we become so addicted, even in like pain, anxiety, we get so addicted to that negative energy that we've trapped ourselves in, that we don't know how
mhm,
to move on without it. Like, that
mhm.
pain kept me alive. So like,
Yeah,
if I heal, who am I?
yeah, yeah, definitely. For the longest time, I didn't even want to, it's like I didn't want to face it. Like I would just keep myself so busy, and I didn't want to be home by myself to face the demons.
Mhm.
But that's when they really had to, I guess, hit me in the head with the sledgehammer when I was basically surrounded by toxic people, and I was like, okay, what what do I need to do
Mhm.
to heal? And so that was when it really, like, my healing actually took place. But it's always interesting hearing other people's stories, and how, because like you said, everyone has different ways of healing and different things that they
Yeah.
need to go through.
Yeah.
So I do always I always want to ask, when people have somebody close to them that passes, like, if they're able to talk to them and stuff like that. But I know some people just aren't in that, like, mind frame. But I know you being a psychic medium, like,
I talk to them all the time.
all the
Not only do
time.
I talk to my loved ones, I talk to your loved ones. I talk to, yeah, it's kind of like being out, and I don't like to be on the public anymore. I mean, like, I don't like to go to, like, to the grocery store,
Mm-hmm.
because the energy in the grocery store or at Walmart or any of those stores, that what happens is there's so much energy in there that it's like a dial up. Like, the spirit
Mm.
guides know I'm in a crowd of people, and they all start trying to, like, I know you can hear me, tell this person it. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I just
Oh,
want to.
wow.
So I for 10 years, hummed all the time, because when you hum, you can't hear any of the voices in your mind. And it's a
Oh,
great way to get through anxiety, or because, your mind's talking to you, but like, just hum shuts them all up. So
yeah.
yeah, yeah, it does take time for boundaries to be set, even with the spirit world, because they get
Mhm.
so excited when they know somebody can hear them,
Yeah.
that it's like, okay, this is not the time. I'm not doing it. I'm not a
Yeah.
puppet. Yeah, yeah,
That's interesting. I've definitely heard that from other psychic mediums too. Like, I need to set boundaries with them.
yeah. You do.
So,
I close the veil. Literally, what I like in like when you're setting your boundaries, like with your spirit guides and stuff,
Mhm.
or like, you know, you have to set your own kind of rules. So
Mhm.
like for me, I literally pull down a veil. And when the veil goes down, we're done. And there are
Yeah.
times, trust me, they try to fight the veil going down. And I'm like, I am done. We're done. And they're like, we're not done. One more thing. But yeah, I love what I do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I do know that the more you focus on something, you can get better at it. So I do feel like I can't I can't hear my guides or anything yet, but there's times I'll talk to them and maybe I do. I don't know. Maybe I know that they're there, so I'll it'll look like I'm talking to myself, but
I think that the hardest thing for people, and it was funny because one of my clients had brought it up to me, and I'd never thought in any of my classes to explain this to people, but she was like, I don't hear my dad's voice. And I'm like, no, rarely. And it's a rarity when I hear a voice that is not of my own.
mm,
So we all have three voices in our head all the time. We have our conscious voice. This is the voice that says, I want to go to McDonald's. Then I
mhm,
have my spirit voice that says to me, don't take Jefferson. And you're thinking to yourself, I always take Jefferson. Why not take Jefferson? Because it's trying to guide me away from trouble, or there's a
mm,
reason why it doesn't want me to go there. But that's why we get those little inklings like, why not? I always do this. That's when
yeah,
my spirit's talking to me. The darker voice that's in our head it's actually the loudest voice, and it creates the darkness. We have to have the balance of light and darkness. But the
mm,
dark voice is the one that's like, I don't know if I should swear here, but hey, fat ass, go get 3 cheeseburgers because you're ugly anyways. So that's because my spirit voice would never speak to me that way. So
yeah,
any voices that we hear that are negative, that create anxiety, insecurities, any of those negatives, that's coming from the dark voice. And the
mhm,
more you learn to listen to the middle voice, the light voice, because it's literally the smallest of area of our head,
mhm,
the more we learn to listen to it, the wider it gets, and the
mhm.
smaller the dark voice gets. And don't get me wrong, there's times it tries to jump in and I'm literally snapping it like, get up, you have no place with me, get away from me. Like I
Yeah,
know when it's coming. So you just shut it down, it quiets it down.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, so they
yeah,
talk to you all day long. That's how you know not to do what you shouldn't do, or
yeah,
it's
yeah.
yeah.
That makes sense. I
Mhm.
guess I was calling it, maybe I was just calling it my higher self because I have been able to get to the point where I can hear the higher entity coming in
Mhm.
because it's telling me not to do the same things I used to do,
Mhm.
basically.
Yeah.
And so I can hear it, and then I can, yeah, it's basically like what you said, where I've been able to quiet down
Mhm.
the dark voices.
Mhm.
But I do see them come in sometimes, and yeah, I'm able to just,
Yeah. So I think we all day long, everybody has their spirit guides talking to them, or
Mhm,
their angels. They're two different kinds of entities, but we have them talking to us all day long. It's just part of our energy. But
mhm,
can you hear other people's energy? Like that's the difference
mhm,
between being a psychic and a medium. Being a medium, you can hear other people's crossed loved ones. So that's what
mhm.
kind of like, and some people don't want. I don't think that anybody. I don't know that everybody can or can't. I don't really know. I know some people say that they can't, but I don't know if they want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like that.
too.
I don't know.
Some people don't believe in it.
Or they're scared of
Mhm,
it, or yeah, they'd rather dismiss it. Yeah. I mean, back in the old days, they'd lock people up for it.
mhm.
You talk about your spirit guides talking to you, and they're like, or the crossover talk to you, and they're like, okay, put her in the cuckoo bin because there's something wrong with her.
Yeah, yeah,
That's where
that's true.
kind of a lot of the Salem crap came from, was that people were hearing spirits and they thought they were on the dark side.
Going crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or yeah, well, it's the devil or
yeah, yeah,
demons.
yeah.
That's the crazy. That reminds me of when I was in when I actually was into spiritual, not spirituality, but Christianity. I remember they would talk about spiritual warfare, and I used to get sleep paralysis, and the demons would literally be like crawling on me, and I was like, dang, like, but now that I'm into spirituality, like I don't ever see demons anymore. I don't get sleep paralysis anymore. But I used to get that all the time. I don't want to say all the time. There was just certain instances in my life where I would get that, and I would see like the shadow beings.
When I was literally just doing a talk on this to a class about like the entities and the, like, because that's a common question I get from my students is, like, do you see dark shadows attached to people and possessions and stuff like that? It is so blown up because of the movies. Okay.
Mm,
And 40 years of doing this work, I've never seen a shadow or an entity that I ever felt. I take it back. Maybe once. Once I did. But it was directed at me. But a lot of times, and I do believe this, that I literally just had it happen with somebody that I know. She was seeing a psychic, which I cringe when I even say this about this person, who told her that that somebody she had, and she's suffers from some mental disorder. She's a little on the slower side. Told her that somebody she had a major crush on, that he had truly loved her. He was probably 30 years her senior. She was just her coworker. She just loved him from a distance. He crossed over. She said, yes, he was about to propose himself to you and he loved you, yada, yada. And she, believed that he started coming to her in her dreams. And then the next one she went to said, that's not him. That's actually some demon. The next thing you know, she's having dreams that he's, raping her and choking her. And, this person literally planted that in this person's mind. And
yeah.
that's why, I get, then what they do is they're like, give me $20,000 and I'll make it go away. And so
Yeah.
that's what happens a lot of time with when somebody tells somebody, I get people all the time will come and be like, they told me that there's a dark shadow attached to me. And I'm like, no, there's not. There's not. There's not. Yeah.
And see, I had
But
heard,
the reason why I brought that up is because remember how you're talking about how like in like the church, they're talking about like the war, they
yeah,
implanted it in your mind.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
literally,
I definitely believe that.
yeah. And so then you believe this is going on. Yeah.
And that's why I was seeing it in my,
Yeah.
I was literally getting sleep paralysis and they were like holding me down and
Yeah.
I had to like fight them. But that was exactly what they were saying. Like, oh, you're going to have to fight the demons off. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but it's just, yeah, it's just crazy. Even before, when else did I have it? It was, before I was into Christianity, I would get, I got sleep paralysis when I was on recruiting duty. And that was, maybe it was because I was in a dark place at the time where that was probably the most depressed I had ever been. And I was living by myself. And so I'd like sleep with the light on and I had to get sleep paralysis and they'd be like whispering in my ear and holding me down.
And
And
that doorway was wide open for you there. Oh, yeah.
yeah. And I was just, I was drinking a lot because that was just that time frame where I was drinking a lot. So,
Why do you think they call it spirits with spirits?
mm,
Literally, because what happens, and that's why I like, and I do, but a lot of people that in this realm that do this stuff in this modality, they won't
mhm,
drink at all because when
mm,
you are open and you drink, it literally can bring in the dark side. So you
mhm,
have to be very careful where you are in a mental frame of mind when you drink, because you literally it's when they talk about gateway, it's literally a doorway. So the
mm,
spirits can come in. I mean, I know some people who like to have cocktails before they go do readings just
mm,
because their spirits are so much clearer. And yeah, so that makes total sense with your timing.
okay. Yeah, because that was one thing I feel like I had to work through. Um, when I had my big awakening, it was like I didn't have alcohol cravings anymore. I didn't have anxiety anymore. I had got rid of all of that. But then it was like the guilt came in when it came to if I wanted to have a drink or not. But I had to like basically balance that within myself and be like, okay, what is my intention when I am drinking?
Mm-hmm.
And I just started getting more clear with that. But I do believe that I've always been sensitive to energy. Like when I was young, I used to just sit there and like my dad would be thinking about something and I would all of a sudden feel bad and I didn't know why, but that's because
Mm-hmm.
I was taking on his energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I know my dad was fighting a lot of his own demons
All right.
when I was growing up, um, but yeah, it's just getting a hold of that and I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I haven't necessarily, I guess, been aware if I could feel other people's, like how you said you could feel everybody's the people that have passed
Mhm.
when they're around you. But yeah, I'm
It's the spiritual gym. You just got to keep going.
yeah, that's true. That makes a lot of sense. No, it definitely makes a lot of sense, especially because I was going to the gym so much that I was like competing at the time too. So it makes a complete sense that all you have to do is be repetitive about something and
Yeah.
you'll get better at it.
Yeah.
So um well that's crazy. So you said you wrote one book or two?
No, actually, I've got the first book that I wrote was Michelle's Quest. And that's Michelle's Quest was it was crazy because it was getting downloaded into my brain. And
Mm,
it kept telling me, I kept hearing, write the quest, write the quest. And I was like, okay, why am I going to write it? Because I literally have a, a book that I started writing 40 years ago that still was like with a typewriter that was in cursive. I thought it was super cool because I had like a typewriter that wrote in cursive. But I never knew what to do with them. And
mm,
so I kept hearing write the quest. And the quest was literally prior to writing the quest. Um, I had this download of information that came to me and it told me something that I had to do. And it was part of my healing process. And it was basically almost going into like uh, and it wasn't something that I Googled or anything. It literally told me what to do every day. And
mm,
part of it had to do with my diet and giving up everything. So like giving up my coffee, giving up caffeine, giving up alcohol, giving up nicotine. Um, then after like a couple of days, all of a sudden they told me all I could eat was fruits and vegetables. I was not
mm,
allowed any meats, any dairy products, anything like that. Part of the process of the quest was I willing to let go of my conscious voice and my desires so that I could hear my
mm,
spirit voice. So I literally had to strip myself and be able to make it through. It was 30 days of this. And
mm.
yeah, it was rough. And my friends are like, that was not fun to be around because I was not a happy person. But all of a sudden, it triggered something inside, was a switch went off, and everything became so much more clear after the
Yeah.
quest. And so I kept hearing, my guys are saying, write the quest. And so I'm like, well, for what purpose? Because I'm going to write this. It's going to end up in a folder like the one across the room here that's 40 years old. And I wrote it, I dated it. Ironically, I started it March 23rd or something of last year. And so, I mean, this is how the universe lines things up. It's kind of a cool story because then now that was in March, I started just writing this random stuff. And it starts off with when I heard my first voices and how the church, threw me out, and started with basic stuff. And then I talked about crystals because I have a crystal store too. And then I went into like goes into numbers and angel numbers and how to meditate and stuff like that. It's a very easy short read. And I wrote it and then I just sat there. And somebody walked in the building where I teach in the morning, and she had said, I brought in some books. I'm a self-publisher, and I was wondering if I could leave them here if maybe some of your students would want to buy them. And so I'm like, wait a minute, how did you publish your book? Like I've been writing my whole life, just didn't know what to do with it. And I did try to look out, and it was like all this money for a publishing company and yada yada.
Oh
She
yeah.
said, "You finish it, I'll help get you there." So I finished it, and it was great because she goes, I keep seeing the number 27 coming up, and the first one came out November 27th, which was my daughter's birthday, who was born on Thanksgiving Day, who ironically competes in bodybuilding stuff. So, but yeah, so the first book came out, but prior then before it went through the editing and all of that, I had already it was like write your story now, because now I knew how to write this. Well, here's the crazy part
Mhm.
about this lady. Crystal Marie is her name. She is my illustrator. She illustrates my books, she uploads them, she gets them on Amazon for me and everything. I didn't know this until an event I was at, and she told a story, and she said, Michelle probably doesn't remember me, but I met her years ago. She goes, I was going through a bad period of time. It was during COVID. Her husband lost their job. They just bought a house. They had children. One was autistic. She goes, we didn't have money for Thanksgiving dinner. She goes, and all of a sudden my daughter had posted on Facebook, because we do it at Christmas and holidays. We collect food and stuff and gifts for the community for kids that need it. So she had posted, if anybody needs a dinner, please let us know. Well, we have friends and everybody that pulls together to fill baskets. Crystal said, she goes, Michelle, she goes, I saw that on Facebook and I needed it so bad for my kids, but I was so embarrassed. And I finally said, hit the button. She goes, you don't realize, but 5 years ago, you saved my life. She goes, that's how I met you. And I hadn't seen her in 5 years. And then this
Mhm.
lady is the one that walks in my door and she gets me publishing my first book.
Oh, wow.
So it's crazy how the universe like lined up our meeting from 5 years ago. And then she's the one that gets me to my, my first book. And then
Yeah.
she's like, you need to write your story, Michelle, and how you recovered. And so I was like, I wasn't ready to really start doing that, or at least not to have it published,
Mhm.
because I knew it was going to hurt people that were still
Mhm.
earthbound. A lot of the bad people are in the book, are gone, they're crossed over, but
Mhm.
I knew it would still affect some family members. So I wasn't really sure. And it was funny as I'm writing my own story and I'm thinking I've already healed from this stuff. It was crazy how reliving these moments, because it starts when I was born, this book. Uh
Mhm.
eh, Reliving it, I was still crying. And I'm like, dude, what is wrong with you? You've been through this, you're good now. Why are you crying? And it was crazy because when it finally I got the news that the first copy was delivered to my house, I was at work and I like left. I'm like, it's at my door. I gotta go. I'll be right back. I have to run home. I work 10 minutes from here. So I'm like, I'm gonna run home really fast. All the way here to pick it up, I was crying. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, why are you crying? Like, it's just supposed to be exciting. Well, the cool part about the book is that I didn't know about my daughter is my editor, my younger daughter. I have like 8 children, 18 grandchildren, 3 great grandchildren. But my
Mhm.
youngest one is my editor. And at the back of the book, she had each one of my children write a little letter for me.
Oh, that's cool.
It was very cool. So when I got to open it and I went to the back of the book, now I'm crying like a baby, reading this. And I didn't realize that this book was actually the period at the end of the sentence. This
Mhm.
was the ultimate heal.
Mhm.
Like I thought I was great, I was good, I'm flowing through life. And then it was like, holy crap, I
Yeah.
had to put it out there. And it
Yeah.
was like, and I had to pull all the dirt underneath the rug that had been shoved under there for, 6 decades and
Yeah.
pull it all out. And it was like, and I said, and it just helps one person in either their recovery or going through their, I mean, literally, I don't know that there's anything that somebody could say on the street that they've been through that I haven't been through.
Mhm.
I honestly don't. I mean, I pretty much have been through it all. I mean, I'm sure there is something out there. But it was like I lived the path that I chose. I believe we pick our path before we get here. And I picked the big, the bad, the ugly, because if it saves one
Mhm.
person understands they're not alone, then my job is done. I did
Yeah.
exactly what I needed. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I definitely agree with you 100%. Because I wrote my first book this past year. It was
Okay.
and it was my memoir, basically, the
Yeah.
good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really felt that too. Like it was like healing all the stuff that that you just shoved in the back of your
Yeah.
mind.
Mhm.
And
Or
it's
that you
funny.
thought you healed from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is after I wrote that book, I started working with this lady. She does sacred geometry signatures, and I've basically learned like the correct way to like move through things that we were like meant the way that we were meant to, basically.
Mhm.
And we were never taught how to like name our feelings and then feel through them and
100%.
let the emotions move through us.
Yeah.
And so even with that, it's just like um, I feel like there's still always more layers, but they're not as deep once you get to the root wounds and stuff like that.
It's funny you brought that up because it was one of the places that I spent a year at was Rosecrans Memorial Home for Children. It was
Mm,
probably the only place that I spent time at that I actually took something away from. And that was exactly it. It was learning to recognize my emotions. So, like, if something happened there and you got pissed off, they were like, check your feelings. And you're like easily aggravated, small feelings because you hurt my feelings. It was understanding that I was choosing to have an emotion.
mhm,
You didn't have to affect me, but I chose to be aggravated. I chose to have my feelings hurt. And like literally, when you start to learn how to put everything in a a box, like, okay, I know where that feeling is coming from. I know what's triggering that. I know
Mhm.
you literally work through life so much easier. It's a lot less storms.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like I'm actually to the point now where there's not much that triggers me anymore.
Yeah.
And I have a toddler too, so
That could be triggering. No, I'm just
there was
kidding.
definitely some things I had to work through with him, but
Yeah.
now I'm to the point where like I don't even let like him making messes used to like trigger me and like just different things. But now I'm just like
Yeah.
I'll make a mess with him and then we'll clean it up together. And it's just um
Part of that, what you're talking about is, I believe it comes from like when we talk about the voices and the dark side that wants us to control things and we don't have control, so then we feel out of sort, we don't like how we feel. But the day that we surrender and we don't care, I can't stand here with my mantras, but when you don't
mhm,
give a crap, you
mhm.
can't affect me anymore. I don't
Yeah.
care. So like literally, it's like I know I'm gonna have bumps in the road. I
Yeah.
would say if I walk outside right now and I have two flat tires, I'm gonna be like, cool, I guess I'm getting new tires. Or
Right.
B, I'm not supposed to go anywhere. The universe is parking my butt at home, so I'm gonna stay home. But when you don't give it any power, your life
Mhm.
is so much easier. It's so much
So much
freer.
easier. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's a bump in the
Yeah, I had
road.
an instance recently. It was like a couple months ago, but it was like I was flying to the East Coast and I got delayed by like a whole day. And I didn't even let it get to me. Like my son wanted to go up and down the escalator. So I was like, okay, we'll just go up and down the escalator. And I don't know. I just got kind of I go with the flow now
Yeah.
because yeah, there's so much that we can't control. And it really is just about like surrendering.
And when you do, literally less crap happens.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
does. Because like
Mhm.
even when it happens, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah,
like, well, you feel like less stuff hits you because it doesn't, and they know it's not gonna affect you. So it's like boring, move on to somebody else and mess with them because this one's not
yeah,
playing right. Yeah,
that's true. That makes
yeah,
sense. All
yeah.
this stuff. Yeah, and I didn't even think about that. The negative entities throwing those things at us to try and get us off
Mhm,
our path.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, it is. I guess that that does get boring. Like, oh, it doesn't
Yeah,
even
yeah,
affect this person. So
yeah.
I actually learned that, and I had to I had to get to the point where I actually thanked him. So my son's father was um he made it a point to try and like destroy my life after I left. And so I literally like no matter what he did, I had to just not care.
Mhm,
And I did go through the feelings of it because I did realize I started realizing I was just trying to throw it in the back of my mind like I always did. So I was like, okay, let me feel through it and then actually put my desire out into the
mhm.
universe. And so that's what I've learned to do pretty recently, like in the last year. I've learned to feel through my emotions and actually put what my desires are into the universe. And so now like my life has completely shifted because I'm like a conscious creator of my reality versus like
Mhm,
subconscious back in the day.
mhm. Yeah, or a victim. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
victim.
Victim of your own circumstance. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm,
Um, wow, so that's pretty amazing. And you had the two books that
mhm,
have come out.
mhm.
Um,
Yep. So,
so
so one's Michelle's Quest. There's only one L in my name. There's no hell in my name. And the other one is Michelle Breaking the Chain. And
okay.
yep, and it's 30 days. It's my whole life, and then it's 30 days of healing to go with it.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting too that you said. So the crazy thing is when I was competing, I used to be able to like be really good and strict on my diet. But then it was like once I stopped drinking, I think that's the thing that I've been it's almost like they've been telling me like to fast or to do and I've just been kind of ignoring it. But
And it's not easy. And I know I watched my daughter go
Mhm.
through, she's competing, she's getting ready for her last competition. It's different kind of stuff that you guys compete with.
Mhm.
But I see what she puts her body through. And it's hard. And it's that
Mhm.
what you that's if you can do that, you can do spiritual fasting.
Yeah.
It's because you're not putting your body through the physical part of it. Like literally
Mhm.
with spiritual fasting, you have to relax your body. So you're not making you're not eliminating the fats and then trying to build up the muscle. No, you're just turning into a blob. Just
Yeah.
blob.
He's just relaxing. That's
Yeah.
what I thought about too, because I was like, wait, if I really fast, then I'm not gonna go work out.
No,
So
you shouldn't. You're not supposed to.
yeah.
Yeah. Not at least for spiritual fasting, you don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel like they've been trying to put that in my head, like you should fast, and I'm just
And you
like,
keep ignoring them. Yeah.
yeah, I keep putting it off.
Yeah. As I say, they talk to us all day long. We just choose not to listen. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I can see
We're
that.
like the endless children. Like our parents try and talk to us, and you're like, yeah, not today. Not
Right.
today. Yeah.
That's funny.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, I don't want to hold you too long. I will ask my closing wisdom question that I ask everybody.
Okay.
And it's basically like, if you could say that you found one truth about our divinity, what would that truth be?
That we were intended to be the purest form of love.
Mm,
And
I love
when you look at everything through loving eyes, it changes everything.
Mhm.
Even like, for example, like my mother, she came from a very abusive upbringing, and she didn't raise me. And when she did have me, she was very abusive and very cruel for those couple of years. But on her final day, I was holding her in my arms. I got to hold her and I rocked her and I sung children's lullabies because I knew her mother never did. So when
Mm,
I looked at my abuser as a 5-year-old child that
mm.
just needed to be loved, it changed everything. So just pure love.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I love that, because I feel like so many people don't know what it means. Like, they don't know what unconditional love means.
Mhm.
And I didn't even know until recently. I feel like I actually remembered. That's why I named my podcast "Remember Who You Are." But it was like I remembered what true love is and how Source really feels about us.
Mhm.
And I just saw that it doesn't matter like what any of us do, like
Mhm.
it still has that unconditional love for us.
100%. 100%. I know we have different names for it, but I always make jokes that God's up there going, "Oh my God, oh Lord, what are you doing?" And then he laughs at me a lot, and I'm like, "Hey, you made me who I am."
Yeah.
Have a sense of humor, but no, the spirit world, whoever it is you call it, is nothing but wanting nothing but to love us and to
Mhm.
hold us and guide us if we allow it.
Yeah, if we allow it,
Yeah.
definitely. And has
Mhm.
the most compassion. Like, we are harder on ourselves than they are
Oh
with us.
yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just like, once I found that out, I was like, all this stuff that religion talks about is just, yeah.
No, and I took theology at North Central College. I mean, I was going to try and figure out all this religion stuff, and it
Mhm.
was when I put down all the Bibles that I could hear God talk to me the loudest. Like
Wow.
that's man-made writing.
Mhm.
Let's talk spirit. And I was like, yeah. Mhm.
Wow. Wow. I'm like, we're gonna have to have a whole another episode on that.
Okay. I'd love to come back.
Because I could talk about that too, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to do another one about that,
Yeah.
specifically.
100%. No, that's one of my favorite topics. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so if people wanted to get a hold of you for your book and for like your services,
Mhm.
how would they be able to get a hold of you?
My email is very easy. It's talktoanangeltoday@gmail.com. My website is talktoanangel.org.
Mhm.
My books can be found on Amazon. I'll send over so you can have the link, but you can find them both on Amazon. Michelle's Breaking the Chain with one L, and Michelle's Quest. You can find them both on Amazon. And there's a couple more books coming out.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll definitely put that in the description so you
Yeah.
guys will be able to snag those.
I appreciate it very much. It was really a fun and a pleasure to speak with you.
Yeah, you too. I definitely I love the energy. So
Thank you.
we will end it there. You guys have a great rest of your day.